stairs to the loft and the basement.
I think that's a consideration. And I think there's two levels to that you can consider. One is a chairlift, and two is an elevator. I have to say that most loft spaces right now are being abandoned because the code requires 2 means of egress from any occupied space. And typically, communities, congregations have found that the amount of people those lofts manage doesn't justify all the construction it takes to get there. I'm just taking messenger here, I'm not being the decider. So you'll have to go through those considerations. A logic has been a chairlift but you have to have a proper stair to work it. But that has been, it's like in our homes. Do you put elevators in for that person, or do you put in certain homes you do?
We had a chairlift once in the old church. We used to have a chairlift.
All right, I'll move on.
And that's, that's interesting. Just one other consideration, you always have to think about maintenance. Our elevator costs us anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000 a year, depending on what we need to do. So, double that.
One thing that I would point out is part of the renovation recommendation is potentially taking the back end of the narthex, which is kind of quiet. Nobody generally, or I shouldn't say nobody, but generally it's people don't go back in that corner. They leave these doors and they go. To consider it being a chapel space, a prayer space, a meeting space, open to the sanctuary and open to the narthex potentially. And we also want to consider just sprucing up the narthex, maybe trying to raise the ceiling a little bit, things like that we would make that nice. Now I've been told that we're running out of time, so I want to make sure that we get through real quickly.
We'll have another meeting next week, but Bill won't be able to be with us, so this is your opportunity to hear him.
So, in the lower level, in Marcus's office, this is, okay, I'm going to start down where you come down, the elevator's here,
Oh, this is fun.
the stair is here, you come down the stair, and there's a coat rack, and then there's some storage room, and then we get to Marcus's office. We're going to take a section out of Marcus's office, because he's got too big of an office. Marcus is not here. And we're going to make it a family.
So this is backwards and upside down.
Right. Well, and it's actually moving this time from the right, this direction. Okay, so here's the corridor. Again, at the end, we put handicap water fountains, drinking fountains. And then, this is one consideration, which is to take both restrooms and make it a women's restroom. Okay?
Make what?
A women's restroom. Just take both restrooms, redo it, and consider it, because we have a handicap and 2 regular water closets, lab, janitor's closet, and entry. Okay? That would be consideration. And then going over to the audio-visual area, or the abandoned area, and make that a new men's restroom. Again, handicap, regular water closet, urinal, lavatories, and entry at that point. We still have a storage room in that area.
So show where the fellowship hall is.
Fellowship hall is across down here, okay? And the reason for that is twofold. 1, to make them accessible, 2, to clean them up, and 3, actually to add a little bit of toilet count down there. With pads, it has some struggles, so they want to add a little bit of count if we can get more, which this does, okay? And then also, we know we have to go back into the classrooms and clean them up and spruce them up. New ceilings, new floors, new painting, things like that. That's part of the consideration. And then lastly, the fellowship hall. This is the current, this is the kitchen, okay? That's the current entry. One came out of the committee, which was really, I think, perceptive, was it's kind of a really unfortunate entry to a major room. You go around the corner, you don't know where the double door is, and it's kind of dark, because you enter the kitchen there, too, that side. So, and then this discussion of people count came up. Should there be 2 egress and entry? So, in this concept, we would take, there used to be windows. If you go across the way, on the south side, there's windows. There used to be windows, at least drawn, and the drawings on the north side.
No, there never were.
So yeah,
No, there weren't.
Before
High.
they added the addition.
yeah,
Here in the hallway.
yes. Right below these windows, yeah, right.
That when the sanctuary and fellowship were all we had, when there was no hall.
There was no hall.
Right.
Got it.
And so what the notion is that where that header is, we would just drop that down and reclaim those two spaces for doors. Okay? So when this middle fellowship hall was closed off, you could have exit, exit, entry, entry on both sides. Okay? Then lastly, the stage area would be built permanent with new technology, big screen or availability, with storage behind. This storage room currently would be, the door would be accommodated a little wider to get things in and out.
Easier to get those days.
And then there's also some discussion, lastly, of redoing ceilings. Certainly this is an image to say how we make the corridor more attractive some way, to bring people down there, light it up. Redo ceilings in this area and just have a lot brighter, nicer space. Okay? So that's it.
Can I ask you a quick question on, back to the stairwell, just to clarify, so you're saying that new stair tower would be from the basement to the main level to the choir loft?
Correct.
Okay,
All the way.
okay.
All the way.
And that would be outside of existing walls?
It would be inside, yes, it would go about 4 feet outside, and when we got all that stair area down there, it would be about 4 feet inside in its current state.
Got it.
So it's kind of positioned right in the middle. Yeah,
Perfect. Thanks.
And you lose that entry door.
that's correct.
But we would gain a new one outside.
So walking that, again, I want to emphasize that you'd be coming down this bright hall, and that hallway would stay broad all the way around the corner to the north exit. There would be an entry to the stair tower if you need to go up or down, right there, for choir and things to come up and down.
So there's new doorways. There would be another doorway that now would go out onto the exterior, out onto the landing. And there would be an interior door. One of the things Heike pointed out, and I love this, and she just noted it, there is no way to shut off the sanctuary completely. The stairwell is open. So she says, sometimes I'm practicing in there and I feel like, oh, I'm making a lot of mistakes, but they're going to hear them, like it or lump it. This would actually close that off because of code. I don't know if that's actually been managed or not, it just is.
Other question?
Has there been any consideration for more storage? I see nothing that has anything to do with storage.
There's been a lot of discussion to that, and so that's going to have to be part of the next step, is identifying those specifics. One thing I did notice, this is just me, is I would see storage going in 3 different locations used by the same entity. And it was because, gosh, we could get a shelf here, and we could get, now we have to go downstairs and we could get a shelf there, or whatever. And so there's this notion that, I think Tom brought it up originally, is it'd be ideal, let's go real quickly to that room, somehow take this central storage and organize it well, make it very usable, like your well-outfitted closet or something like that, and then have...
Is this downstairs?
Yes, and then have distributed storage at other locations with small closets where they have to use things. And cabinetry, for example, it doesn't show up right real quickly here, or too well here, but this is the current sliding door for the kitchen. We're considering building a constant buffet counter with storage below it all the way the length of it, from door to door. Or in these corners, cabinetry. We're looking at how we can have that distributed storage to the place that people use as convenient, and then central storage where it's more seasonal or bulky or something to that nature. Have we solved it? We'll know that as we go forward.
Yeah, Linnea just made a great pastor point. She said, we might have to throw away things. This is the story of my life. In my former church, I used to pray for flooding. Because the more room you have, you know it from your homes, right?
Right.
The more stuff goes in.
Yes.
Before things get too far along downstairs, we should actually do a formal heads layout and make sure we're not coming with current capacity.
Yeah, actually, there was some notion, and that'd be interesting, I would like to run past you, is there are some notions of whiteboards and maybe some temporary walls that we could also stack more pads.
I'm not talking about saving, I'm talking about the layout for use, not saving.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Your walls were the important thing.
Yeah,
So what if we create, I'm not saying this is, but what if we create a few temporary walls in addition to the perimeter walls that you could stack even more?
So,
So-
but, yeah, you'd have to see the layout. What Bill is talking about, and I'm not completely sold on this either, but we'll see. We could do more subdividing of this space. So you could have a women's room, a family room, a men's room, depending on what you needed.
yeah, honestly, we don't need to take up 10, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
we should
right,
actually
absolutely.
We should, you know.
I'm also
bring that-
very interested in how we might reutilize this space more effectively and efficiently for storage and for moving stuff in and out.
What is that space?
It's the stage.
Oh, the stage.
The chapel, was there much said about the chapel? There was some emotional interest in it.
Yes, and that shows up on the plan. I can't say it's been developed per se, but it's something that is part of the recommendation.
I could even see, this might be a great location if we wanted to do anything interior with a columbarium. This could be a potential space for this.
If you confirm that we can move the new stairway out a little bit because of the setback from the street,
Yes, I ran, now,
I'm asking if you confirm.
yeah, no, yes. And so, but when I say, I sat on a board for 10 years at Lake Forest. So confirmation is when I get a signature on the dotted line. And so the issue is, I think, what we've done is we've reviewed it with the city, they say you're,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah, you are in context. Now, everything's public hearing, and everybody has, comment at that point. But we are within the context, at least their first review. So, yes.
Where do we send our comments to?
Good question.
Who's holding?
I can hold it.
Jen Mueller, right there. So you can write them on the sheets. If you got the email about this meeting, you can click the little button that says email Tom Bothan, you can send it right to him. But let's get to the big slide. What's this whole thing gonna cost? Right?
Well,
Or are we at that slide? We should get to that slide. though,
Everybody
because
sit
that's
down.
important.
yeah, I didn't know if we were going to that slide. So I'll throw this out. And the notion is, I've got a 20-page imagined, so you can see in a distance the cost estimate of every space. So there's detail to support the concept, but until you get into the detail, do you really know specifically? But this is initial impressions.
We think that these are good numbers. We had cost estimators come out and do them. We are not saying we're expecting this group of people right here, right now, to come up with $2.3 million before Thursday. Thank you very much. Although if you want to, I'm open to that. But when we started this process, the congregation asked for a master plan.
Right.
Not for just the replacing of the carpeting plan. This is a master plan. This is everything. Does that mean we're going to build everything? Well, it depends on where the money comes in. And we're going to have to make decisions about priorities. And we can enter into more of that next week as we start to unfold this. Certain things are very inexpensive to do, like working with the exterior tearing down of shrubs and increasing the walkway. Some things are very expensive to do, like putting in the new stair tower. We need to decide together what our priorities are. It isn't exclusively based on cost, obviously, but cost is a factor and we have to consider it, right? So these are some things that we'll be wanting to unpack further as we go forward. But what I've been very pleased with is hearing how Redeemer has come to this by saying there are some things that seem like they're not an issue for a lot of people, like having a family accessible restroom. But we know it's important enough that we're willing to sink some money into that. Because if it's helping a few families, it helps all of us. Some other things, maybe more things that, boy, that seemed like a fun idea, but maybe that's not there. some things are really at the heart of what could be really cool to do, like a water wall or a columbarium or something like that, that could be welcoming and spiritual and help make this whole space better. It's up to us. So, with that, Tom, I gotta go get vested. But I want to thank Bill Stern for being with us. Tom has some concluding remarks. And,
Well, yes, thank you all for being here. See the top word of their dream. It's comprehensive, it's a plan. We have to go forward once we are into specific designs. Then we're going to have to formulate a fundraising committee and find out just what the congregation believes it can support. So we'll have another meeting like this next week. Bill won't be here, but we might have time for a little more questions and discussions. And then how much, again, it's going to come down to how much can we bring together. Art Gustafson and I and a couple other members of the committee have alternative plans developed where we start with a top of 2.3 and we can do a significant amount of improvement and welcoming for relatively less, around 1.2 million. So within 1.2 and 2.3, we know that we have alternative plans that will still have a significant positive impact and give us a much more welcoming building that will also meet a lot of life safety and accessibility issues. So thank you all very much. And come on back next week. John, thank you very much.
Bravo.
What's that? That was
Bravo.
fantastic. Let's start with the money because what it costs is what we want to do. That's the
Yeah.